Hello friends, hello. Today's Parashat Lech Lecha is found in Bereshit, Genesis chapter 12. Starting from verse 1 and extending to chapter 17, verse 27, Lech Lecha can be translated as go. Go for yourself, by your own will. And it contains several important elements, the most important being the calling of Abraham, his life in Egypt, his return to Eretz Israel, and his separation from Lot. These are important events in this parasha. Also important is the rescue of Lot and his sons, Abraham's meeting with Melchizedek, the promise of an heir, and the blood covenant between Abraham and Hashem. The parasha also includes the birth of Ishmael, the covenant of circumcision, and the confirmation of the promise of Zara's heir, in this case Isaac. Well, Hashem made 7 great promises to Abraham Nabi, to our father Abraham. However, it demanded great decisions from him. In other words, Abraham had to do 3 things. And when he did those 3 things, God would do 7 things. What did Abraham have to do? Leave his father's house, leave his relatives, and leave his land. This was not easy for Abraham. These 3 things represent the greatest influences that a person could ever experience in their life. If there's something that impacts us the most, is precisely the influence that our immediate family, where we're raised, the family we connect with, and the cultural and religious environment where we grew up have on us. Abraham had to break through each of those rings that defined him and make his way through the complex cultural tangles that had shaped him to be faithful to the God calling him to a new prophetic destiny. Abraham had to be very clear and know how to identify his real battles, his personal wars that he had to fight. Abraham had gotten used to obeying and pleasing others to get along with everyone, even if he was living a fake life surrounded by cultural lies, trying to please everyone. He was defending a cause that had no future for him, and he didn't know that the only one who would be harmed was himself. In other words, Abraham was defending the indefensible, the idolatry of his family and his culture. He was negotiating the non-negotiable, taking stances that had nothing to do with reality. He had to learn to process, manage, and control his thoughts, to be willing to be different and think differently and not fear living with a different style and a different God from the majority. Because he had discovered that this different God was the one true God, Abraham had to reach a point in his life where he would break free from all those thoughts that only limited and controlled him. In those conditions, it was very difficult for him to form that new and different nation that God had in his heart for him. So the Eternal appears to him and says, Lech Lecha, go for yourself. At first, Hashem told Abraham to go to a land that he would show him, without giving him more details. No direction, no points of reference, just to a land that he would show him. And Abraham believed Hashem. He did not abandon the project until he concluded it. And this holds a great lesson for us as well. Do everything within your power to complete the task you have been given. Think about that. Hashem told Abraham to go to a land he would show him. Abraham did not abandon the project until he finished it. My friends, there will be projects so big that others will have to finish them, but there will always be something that we have to finish ourselves. Yes, there's a discipline we must learn. The discipline of consistency, of perseverance, the practice of responsibility in the things we do for the eternal. It's a great virtue. Notice that Abraham's father did not reach Canaan, he stopped in Haran halfway. But Abraham continued moving forward until he reached the land that had been promised to him. When you accept a responsibility, when you accept a commitment, when you enter into a covenant, be faithful to it, be responsible, keep the promise, honor your word. Yeshua said, the one who puts his hand to the plow and looks back is not fit for the kingdom of heaven. Abraham is an example of a man who, when he decided on something, never left it halfway. He completed the work with which he had committed himself. There are those who want to be involved in everything and end up doing nothing. We promise to do many things and then we leave them unfinished. Do not take on many projects only to abandon them later. So go focus on one thing, and do it well. Start a project and see it through to the end. If there is anything we must cultivate, it is the ability to complete the good work we have started. We need to fall in love with our promises when they are legitimate and not let fleeting dreams steer us away from our goals. When you start something, finish it to the best of your ability. And it is important that you repeat it to yourself and to your children and to your friends. When I start something, I will strive and finish it to the best of my ability. So maybe that's good therapy for today. Wherever you are, repeat that with me. When I start something, I will strive and finish it to the best of my ability. Breaking free from family ties that limit you, breaking away from cultural bonds and customs that prevent you from fulfilling the mission for which God brought you into the world will always be one of the greatest challenges that you, I, and all of us will have to face. We will have to face that if we have not done so already at some point in our lives. My friends, great purposes require great decisions. A person's success is not measured so much by what is achieved. What you risk in a project is the greatest benefit you gain. Why? Because Yeshua gives us the answer. He said, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. When you pay a high price for a car, a house, a book, or glasses, you will then take care of that investment. Why does a bank not require, for example, much evidence of employment or demand a lot of credit investigation when you put 30, 40, 50% of the value of a property as a down payment or initial deposit? Because the bank knows that when you put down such an amount, you will not easily let go of that property. But when you are given a house or a car with no requirements, no deposit, no down payment, losing it means practically nothing to you. Big projects require large investments and big decisions. Abraham faced the challenge of learning how to steer and decide how to shed and free himself from the burdens he had acquired in the cultural universe that shaped him, which was entirely polytheistic, and embark on a new monotheistic prophetic destiny for which the one and only God was calling him. In other words, Abraham was receiving an invitation to a contract, a covenant, a rich through which all the families of the earth would be blessed. However, there were things he had to leave behind in order to be chosen for that project. If you want to be an instrument of Hashem for great things, you must also be willing to make great decisions, and those major decisions will possibly change the current course of your life forever. If you are not willing to take risks, you cannot be used for great projects. What would Abraham's response to that divine call be? Genesis chapter 12 verse 5 gives us the answer. So Abraham took Sarai his wife and the sons of his brother and all his belongings that he had acquired in Haran, and they departed to go to the land of Canaan. And they arrived in the land of Canaan. Something significant we also learn from our Parashat Lech Lecha is that we should never ignore or underestimate those who appear smaller in our eyes. As though, for example, observed from Earth seems like a small dot. If we could see it up close, it would be immense, truly immense and powerful. Similarly, there are people who at first glance may seem small and insignificant, but when you get to know their heart, you discover what great qualities and extraordinary potential have been placed there by the Eternal. Every time you look at a sibling in your family or someone in your community, see them as the Eternal guided Abraham as a star. It might seem like something very small in front of you, but it is a star. It may seem insignificant, but it is a star. Might look as useless as the story of little Tom, the boy who seemed to promise nothing, that no one bet on him, but the solution might have been placed in his hands. If there's something we must cultivate, is learning to see the people around us not as they appear, but as they truly are. Often, what appears to be good is mere fantasy, and what seemed like fantasy is actually a diamond. I want to propose that you treat your brother like a star, like a light, like a diamond in the process of development. I want to suggest that you treat your brothers, your sisters, your friends with dignity, respect, consideration, appreciation, fairness, and nobility. When you treat a person with great respect, they will gain greater respect for themselves. When you treat a person with dignity, they will gain even greater dignity. When you treat someone with nobility, they will become more aware of their own nobility, and that will cause the person themselves to start discovering the resources that the Eternal has placed in their soul. This will lead the person to start living not according to their current situation, but according to what they can achieve when the Eternal develops and completes the resources of grace that have been placed in the soul of every son and daughter of Israel. If there is something we should learn from our parasha, it's to see your brothers and sisters as stars in the sky. In other words, never compromise the dignity of your brother. May the honor of your brother always be safe on your lips. May the honor of your brother, of your sister, always be safe on your lips. This portion is powerful because it teaches us the principle of respecting and valuing yourself and your neighbor.